Welcome to today's webinar. As a global consulting firm, Protiviti is here to help you connect, grow, succeed. We invite you to visit us online at protiviti.com/webinars to find other great content and subscribe. Now, let's begin.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today as we look at our webinar topic of revolutionizing the IT service management and harnessing the power of AI/ML. Before we get started, I want to give you a few reminders that we are streaming the audio through your computer, and that we highly recommend that you use Chrome or Edge as your browser to get the best performance. If you are experiencing any issues right now, just go ahead and hit that refresh button or try to log in using one of those browsers. We are recording today's webinar. It will be available for you to view on demand, and you can share it with your colleagues who may not have been able to join us live for this event. We would like to make this interactive, so on your console there is a Q&A area. Go ahead and put those questions in for our presenters today. We'll try to get to as many as we can during our live session. And then lastly, on your console there should be a resources section. You might want to take a look in there. There's a lot of great information for you to take a look at and download, including today's presentation, if you're interested in having a copy of that. A little bit about us. If you're not familiar with Protiviti, we're a global consulting firm that delivers deep expertise and tailored approach to help leaders confidently face the future. We provide consulting and managed services to our clients around the world, and we specialize in technology consulting. For this webinar, we are partnering with ServiceNow, and ServiceNow offers organizations in every industry a platform that connects and automates workflows across the business with AI and automation. We have a great panel of speakers today, so I'm going to ask them just to give us a quick introduction. Christine, maybe we can start with you.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Christine Livingston. I'm a managing director at Protiviti, responsible for our AI/ML services and capabilities. And I'll hand to Samir.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Samir Dutt. I lead our technology strategy and architecture practice, where among other things, we focus on IT operations and process improvement, and I'm one of our executive sponsors of our partnership with ServiceNow. Theo?
Thanks. My name is Theo Simmons. Excuse me. I work with ServiceNow. I'm part of our technology workflows group, and I get to talk about all the great things that our technology workflows get to do with our customers.
Great. And I'm Laura Reitmeyer. I'll be helping facilitate our webinar today, looking at all those questions that you're sending in on the back. Quickly on our agenda, and then we could dive right into our topic. You can kind of think about what we're going to look at today kind of in three big chunks. That front end, we're going to look at the AI landscape and the opportunities that are coming in the market today. In the middle, we're going to take a deep dive into ITSM and give you some insights, as well as share actual example case study from our consumer products and industry client where we've helped them. And then finally, we're going to have Theo give us a demonstration of ServiceNow's AI offerings. So with that, let's jump right in. And Christine, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Laura. So I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone that AI/ML is a hot topic around the world and around corporations today. Our perspective is really that artificial intelligence is a transformative technology that is most effective when paired with the right experience. And there's a lot of great capabilities that AI brings to the table. And you can think of some core building blocks as being things like predictive analytics, which is, tell me what might happen in the future. You've got transformation capabilities such as computer vision, audio, and natural language processing that are really focused on the transformation of unstructured information into more structured data elements that quote unquote traditional analytic systems can use. And then, of course, you've got generative AI, which is the latest advancement that has sparked that worldwide interest in AI technologies. And we think it's really important to think again about these capabilities as being technology building blocks that need the right experience layer in order to realize their true value and their potential. When you think about the landscape of ChatGPT as an example, GPT-3, the technology, was around for about 2 years before someone put a conversational layer around it, and it became the worldwide phenomenon now known as ChatGPT. That experience changed everything for the technology. And we're really focusing on how do we leverage this technology to create meaningful experiences through data-driven insights, and what value are we seeing organizations realize from this technology. So we see tremendous business value already being realized and accomplished through the use of generative AI and more traditional AI techniques. We've seen statistics indicating that workers see as much as a 40% efficiency boost using generative AI technologies, and that on average, companies are seeing a 350% ROI in the dollars they invest in artificial intelligence solutions. I think the next two are kind of my favorite statistics. When you think about what does it take to actually do this, a large majority of these AI initiatives are taking 12 months or less. So maybe not as complex as you may think. And we're able to really demonstrate tangible AI business value very quickly, which is what we'll share a little more of in our case study. So as we get started, we wanted to just spend a moment to see where our audience is today on your AI journey. There are a couple of options here. I think it goes through F, so you may have to scroll down on your screen, but we'd love to hear from you. Where are you today on your AI journey? You know, are you just getting started? Is it something that's maybe not allowed still in your organization? Are you unsure of where exactly to get started? Or as we see a lot of our clients at this point now, a lot of them have identified some use cases, maybe started to do some experimentation or proof of concept work. And the next level of maturity is, are you actually using AI today in a production capacity? So have you operationalized this capability and this technology? And again, just interesting to see the progression. We asked the same question about a year ago. The vast majority of responses were certainly on, that maybe not permitted or unsure of where to start. And we started to see the general curve move across this maturity spectrum. So as we get some of these responses in, let's see how we're starting to see things compare. So still quite a few that are saying it's currently not permitted, few that are saying unsure of where to get started. But as we would have thought, quite a few have actually found the first use cases, maybe are looking to figure out how to do some proof of concepts. And 30% of you said you're currently using AI in your operations today. So we'll definitely use this information to talk further about opportunities for AI in the servicing function. And I'm going to hand it over to Samir just to share a little bit more about what we see some of the challenges and opportunities within a servicing function to be today.
Thanks, Christine. So as she mentioned, I think you get a case for why we want to do this, but what prevents us, or what are some of the challenges, as she said. So if you look across this slide, and I won't drain it, you can kind of see, self-service context doesn't always exist. Reading through transcripts or ticket history for your agents takes time to understand where are we, what is the problem. As things get escalated, your level 2 agents have to work through triage, and they're often in a reactive state. These challenges kind of emanate from a couple overall market themes. So again, the data, the information may not be easily accessible. The data models and structure may not be in place. The demands of the business often put a strain on the ability to take a step back and design and implement uniform processes. And so sometimes things get fragmented and siloed. There's tribal knowledge. There's redundant or different processes in different parts of the business. And that leads often to redundancy in tooling or a lack of uniform tooling. And then budget constraints or the pace of technology change. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on using AI in the case of ITSM or other. Makes it difficult to understand where we need to invest, how we want to introduce change, and go through an improvement roadmap to achieve ultimately more efficiency and higher value service to our end users. So as we transition to where to start on the journey, you'll see here that generative AI, right, provides a unique opportunity to help drive down those costs, help drive efficiency if you can put those foundational elements in place up front. And so as we work with clients, specifically in the ServiceNow space, we'll often start with an understanding of where is the current implementation. The older it is, sometimes there are sub-optimized implementations or implementations with a higher degree of customization that actually may be impeding our ability to move forward and take advantage of some of the new functionality with regards to Now Assist in ServiceNow. There are things expected in terms of the common service data model and data structures. The analogy being, if you take a look at AI broadly, right, there's that reliance on an effective large language model. Likewise, as we want to move forward and implement and take advantage of the capabilities of ServiceNow, kind of moving more to that traditional out-of-the-box best practice implementation that helps you simplify some of the capabilities, and you can still augment with some of your proprietary, diagnostics to simplify those implementations, moving to a model to address governance, which then turns to a higher engagement with your employees. So now your end users are able to access ServiceNow in more intuitive ways. That can be through self-service portals like ServiceNow's Employee Center, or they may be leveraging collaboration tools where they tend to spend most of their time throughout the day. And so MS Teams being an example, in the integration there, allowing that interaction so that there's not this need to go to a new environment. As our clients continue to put this infrastructure in place, now you have the foundational elements to boost that customer satisfaction, to be more efficient, and to ultimately potentially reduce initial reliance on the service desk to begin with, and free up the technology organization to shift their focus to more strategic items, and let some of the base level problems and incidents cure themselves, if you will. So how do you get started? In some cases, you've got to kind of stop and see where we are, right? So I'll leave the specific AI to Christina and Theo in the subsequent slides. But as you look through this model, right, it starts kind of in two areas: getting back to basics and really trying to drive user engagement through AI models. So in terms of that back to basics, right, looking at data management, as I said, do we have the right structure to ingest, store, process, manage, and secure that data? Ultimately, that data over time is what drives further adoption, more effective AI results. And with that, you need system integrity. So do we have the measures and structure in place to keep our ServiceNow environment maintainable over time, and the related AI components and integrations? What sort of things do we need to do, again, to move more to out of the box best practice, and really challenge sometimes a tendency to move to things that we think need to be specific or customized, and understand if that's really the case. And then finally, have a governance over the top to make sure that we've got the policies and the procedures and the standards in place. And that really needs to come top down, which will then drive that uniformity across different segments of the organization. To the right here, you see an example of an illustrative dashboard. Many of our clients leverage MS Teams or other input visualizations that can then help drive, again, that adoption, automate self-service, and help us understand how we might better move forward with generative AI or AI through ServiceNow's capabilities. So with that, I'll flip it back to Christine to talk through how we kind of enable this.
Thanks, Samir. So again, one of our favorite topics in the world of AI is to think about value-driven opportunities and applications. And particularly for those of you that already have a formal service desk platform like ServiceNow in place, you have a great opportunity to uncover data-driven recommendations for those AI use cases. So for those of you who are still looking to identify what are the right opportunities and use cases and how do we go about solutioning those use cases, this is an approach we've taken to work from a value definition statement down to the actual ticket data itself, looking at all the information that's been captured over the past few years on your servicing platform, ultimately to analyze them, identify where there are hypotheses, so essentially statistical patterns that align to some of those value statements. And ultimately we can help calculate the value, the business value that would be realized if those hypothesis statements are acted upon. And we're able to determine, again, the statistical relevance of those patterns and ultimately provide some very quantifiable metrics on expected returns and help to prioritize opportunities for AI in your ServiceNow environment. So some of the ways we think about starting, right, or what are some of those value metrics that you might consider? What are some of the typical things we see in the ITSM space? Typically you're looking to reduce costs, to provide an improved customer experience, and we're able to help identify across this library of value drivers, what are the ones that are most important for you and your organization? And from those identified focus areas and priority KPIs, let's determine what happens if we're able to address some of these scenarios. So if we're able to, example, decrease the number of tickets or streamline the way that they are handled or responded to, or if we're able to avoid system outages, what are some of those value scenarios that are most beneficial to you as an organization? So we'll identify that very simple model of value drivers and then ultimately analyze your servicing data to identify interesting patterns and trends. So this is an actual, this is an example of servicing data analyzed to find interesting patterns that may drive those valuable scenarios where we're able to look at the data itself to create some of those hypothesis statements. So you may see hypotheses developed, for example, where we can find a correlation of a particular issue type and a resolution. And if we can very quickly identify and predict based on the incoming ticket what type of problem it is and how it's going to be resolved, and ultimately the resolution's fairly quick, this is a great candidate for a self-service use case. So we started with identifying those correlations, those clusters, and then evaluated the statistical significance of those predictions as tickets were coming in. This created a great platform ultimately to find self-service opportunities and very tangibly quantify the value that could be realized through those particular correlations and patterns. We also developed hypotheses around understanding where there were differences in resolution times. So where were maybe the same type of issue or ticket responded to very differently, and where was there a high variability in the resolution time. So we were able to look ultimately at those different groups of issues and how they were resolved and responded to identify some characteristics that would indicate there was an unexpected high resolution time or variability, and able to make those recommendations on how to reduce the time to fix or time to respond to that particular ticket. And then the third was recognizing more of a routing pattern. So areas where we would see that there were very similar tickets that were maybe handled, categorized, or routed differently based on a particular market or geography. And if we were able to ultimately to route the right ticket to the right person and the right area faster, we could significantly reduce potential outages and time to respond. So we evaluated statistical significance, formulated these hypotheses, aligned them to value drivers, and we're able to quantify what this really would mean for an organization if they were able to address these scenarios that we uncovered by analyzing their servicing data. And we were able to associate very specific cost savings opportunities across each of these different levers based on that statistical analysis that we found. And this became a great launch point to say, what are the first use cases and capabilities that we can unlock in our servicing platform and environment? We started to see, again, opportunities for self-service with Now Assist and opportunities, again, to enhance your agent response time. And so we're able to align those value scenarios with some of the opportunities that ServiceNow AI capabilities present. And I'm going to hand it over to Theo to talk a little bit more about the ServiceNow platform specifically, and how we can align these capabilities to the ServiceNow platform.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. As Christine and Samir have mentioned in previous slides, with Now Assist, we really focus, at least for Now Assist for ITSM, we're really focusing on three key personas. Those are the employees, people, folks who drive your business, who don't live with IT every day, the agents, so that we're driving their productivity by providing really key skills around summarization, resolution, and generating knowledge articles, which drives the employee experience because they're able to be their own hero and log on to an employee center to see and do things. And then the admins who support these two other levels or these other two personas, giving them the power to do things like using our Now Assist for Creator to create playbooks, create flows automatically with Now Assist. We're going to get into showing what the employees and agents are going to feel. And so how do we do this? Prior, we've had Gen AI for quite some time, obviously, or excuse me, AI for quite some time on the platform. With employees, you can use Now Assist inside of the portal to search, find knowledge articles, take multiple knowledge articles, bring those into an easy to read, natural language understanding of, hey, here's how you solve an AutoCAD issue by following these steps. Link to the actual knowledge article. But we're not solely dependent on what you have in your knowledge base. As I talk to hundreds of customers about how they're using their employee portal today, they have other knowledge sources, Confluence, SharePoint. We provide connectors to those things and bring them into ServiceNow and make that part of the Now LLM result, the Now Assist results. Whenever you're engaging and you need to talk to a live agent, there's always going to be some white glove service. If the employee has gone through, done their own homework, searched, looked for different responses, then they need to actually talk to another human. That summation, when they actually do the transfer, Now Assist will summarize all of the things that the employee has done to try to solve their own problem. It removes a huge burden of having the agent, hey, what did you look at? What did you search? What did you not search? They automatically, I'm sure everybody on the call today has had that experience where they've spoken to a live agent after talking to a bot and then have to re-explain themselves. When you're in the agent, you're able to see, when you're in the ServiceNow solution, you can see all the different agent assist recommendations. So you're going to see knowledge articles, potentially you're going to see different potential major incidents that could be related. And then you're also at the level two layer, you're going to have to get this to the right people very quickly, and then you're going to resolve those issues. Now, all that being said, I love showing a lot more than I love telling, so let's get right into a demonstration. All right, give me 1 second. We'll get this screen going. Allow. All right. I'm going to assume that everybody can see my screen. Good. Great. So here we are in the ServiceNow Employee Center. This Employee Center brings in all of the things on the platform and contextually provides me the results so that the things I need to see as, say, a doctor within the organization, say I'm an international medical organization, I'm going to see the things that are important to me. But I'm having a particular issue today, and it's around VPN access, pretty common for folks. It's going to look across the knowledge articles, look across our catalog of services, all the things that I have permissions to, all the things that I need to see to do my job. It's going to summarize all those knowledge articles and give me an easy follow step. I can see what steps I need to follow to kind of get my configuration set up. Again, I'm able to be my own hero in this case. But as I mentioned, there's going to be times when I actually have to talk to another human. I can actually make that connection right there to a live agent and have a dynamic conversation. Maybe do a quick refresh. And I'll...
I was going to say, Theo, I think we may have lost you there a little bit, so might need to take a step back because I think we lost you in the audio. Are you still there? I think I'll take a minute also for those of you that are on the call to see the demo. If you need to, you can expand your window, the media player, to make that larger. And I think, Theo, like I know we wanted to do that live demo, but I think we might be having some issues. So maybe we can just jump to the backup slides that we had that you can walk us through. So if you guys can hold tight for just a minute, we'll see if we can get Theo back online. I wonder, Christine and Samir, while we're waiting, maybe we can answer a question that has come in from the audience. Can you talk a little bit, how do you see AI impacting the end user experience, and would you want AI to handle the majority of first level support or just assist human agents?
So I think
so. I would just suggest that it's by use case. So certainly you want to take an approach of maturity. So certainly starting with those first level issues that rapidly kind of solve problems or improve the user experience would be the starting point. I think notionally you want to expand from there, and how much it takes on is a little bit of an internal cultural issue, but also driven by the data set that you build that can support it. Christine, I don't know what you would add to that.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely use case specific. And I think one of the great opportunities we have as well is to find the best opportunities and best candidates for self-service versus more of an agent assist pattern. Looking at your data, typically, again, based on the use case and the end customer you're talking about, most end customers want to get the right answer as fast as possible. So if we're able to accomplish that with artificial intelligence, that may be the best experience. But it's a combination of the experience that you're trying to create and ultimately the use case that you are addressing. And again, we're able to help create some of those opportunities with data-driven insights around which may be a better fit for a self-service or more of an agent assist type of use case.
Great, thanks so much. Theo, are you back yet? Theo, are you there? So I see him in the chat, but we're still not hearing him. So we're going to go on to the next question as we continue to work through these little technical glitches, and hopefully we can get you all a demonstration or at least the slides to walk you through this process. So Samir and Christine, I'll go back to you with some of the questions that are coming in. This next one is, how would you handle integrating AI with your existing ITSM tools and databases? And what kind of data would be crucial for AI to process effectively? So kind of two questions. You want me to break those in? You want me to ask one and then the other?
I think I would defer more to Christine on that, but I would add, almost more important than the types of data is the data structure that you put in place to capture. So at the beginning, we talked about, in the case of ServiceNow, having the common service data model, but if it's independent of that, whatever AI use case you're trying to employ, right, having that correlation aspect based on a consistent data set is key. Christine, I defer to you on the rest.
Yeah, your AI integrations and opportunities are only as good as the data you have, right? So definitely important to make sure that you're pulling in the right enterprise data, usually across a spectrum of platforms and tools, to give the best answers as quickly as possible. And when you start to think about, what kind of information is really critical in order to use AI most effectively, the more data you have, typically the better your AI will be. I think one of the things I see most commonly in servicing platforms is how much verbosity or information do your servicing technicians provide when they close out issues? Is there email correspondence? Is there anything where they actually diagnose the problem and outline the resolution? It can be a much faster path for artificial intelligence to make those recommendations and help to provide those capabilities if we're able to use information that your agents have produced to collect that information.
Great, thank you both. I think we're still having a few technical difficulties on the platform with Theo, so we're going to move on one more question. Hopefully by the time we get through that one, he'll be back with us and we can see and hear him. So next question is, how would you measure the success of AI in your ITSM processes? Can you talk a little bit about what you would focus on, or the kind of metrics? And there were some metrics mentioned, like, right, would you look at resolution time, or would you look at customer satisfaction, or would you look at cost reduction? So what would your recommendations be on that measurement?
I think the metrics, again, will depend on use case. So maybe answering with an example would be appropriate. So if you take a certain type of incident, right? So this is predicated, again, on having consistent classifications and convention. Over time, you build that data set, then you may be able to employ AI to solve for that scenario. And so the metrics that come into play, Laura, you mentioned, it could be ticket reduction. It could be resolution time against that use case. So whereas it was previously causing either a response time of some sort of hours, it's reduced to minutes, or you've eliminated a class of incidents or reduced them significantly. Eliminating is probably an optional idea. Those are the sort of metrics that you would put in place and measure and tune the system over time. Again, so it would apply to the use case.
Great, thank you so much. I think, Theo, you back on with us?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
We can. Yay, so glad to have you back.
That's exciting.
I think we're going to have you go through the slides since we're having a problem with you actually streaming live on this platform. So if you can, I think we got your first slide up there. Maybe you can kind of recap where you were and go through the demo this way.
Will do. Thanks so much. Sorry about that. So we're looking at our Employee Service Center. One of the things that's great about Employee Service Center is it brings all of the things onto the ServiceNow platform in one unified experience. What's great about Now Assist on this is it's going to provide, you can search for all things across the ServiceNow platform, bring those knowledge articles, those catalogs back to the search. Now Assist for AI search combines knowledge articles. We can reach out and touch Confluence. We can reach out and touch SharePoint, because you're going to have knowledge all across your environment. and bring that back to the results so that those end users can be their own hero and solve their own AutoCAD issue. You can see it links to the actual knowledge article, so you can go directly to the source to actually see even further steps, because it's just a summation. So, but there's going to be times when I actually have to talk to a human being, which is really important in providing great service management. So you can actually just type that same search into the virtualized agent. It will give you, it do the same thing of giving you the catalog items and the knowledge articles to get the help you need. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and ask to talk to a live agent. Now, what's great about Now Assist, it's going to provide a chat summarization directly to that end user agent. So I don't have to re-explain to this human what I've already searched, what problems I'm already having, because that's going to be provided to the service desk agent in an active chat. And now I can dynamically connect and talk and help solve this end user's AutoCAD problem without actually having to have them re-explain. And the great thing about this is we can do that in multiple languages. So you can use dynamic translation to actually have the end user speak in French or their native language, and then your other agent can talk in their native language. And ServiceNow and your translation service will actually do that. And the same thing happens when I want to search. We support multiple languages in Now Assist as well. But that's not all. For the agent, you're always going to have huge amounts of work going on inside of tickets. You're going to have to come on board and not have an understanding what work has already been done, what other people have done to this ticket. Maybe they've had conversations on Teams and that's been brought into a work log. With the incident summarization, it will look at all the incidents, all the related records, the SLAs, all the work that's been up to date, and provide an easy summarization. We have some configuration so you can hide some things and show some things in that summarization with our Now prompt skills. That allows me to understand what's been done. I can look at closed instance as well as open instance and get that same result. Now, once I get to resolving that issue, our Now Assist will actually create the resolution for you, put that into the resolution, but nothing is ever complete until you do the knowledge base. Creating a knowledge base so that employee at the beginning can be their own hero, well, you have to create good knowledge articles. Now Assist KBGen will do that for you. It will draft up the actual knowledge article based on all the work that's been done to date on that incident or multiple incidents. I mentioned multiple incidents because you're going to have cases where there's going to be a P1 or a P2 and everyone's jumped on a call to resolve that issue. Well, the best thing you can do is create that knowledge article that solves that problem. So the next time that occurs, our agent assist or the knowledge article is created so that they know what was done and when it was done. And more importantly, we're going to provide that post-mortem to the executives in your organization so they can see that. And then we're also going to take multiple knowledge articles and create that one single knowledge article as well. So here we have what the actual knowledge article looks like. After it's been created, you publish it, you follow your good strategic knowledge management process. So that's what we're doing with the Now Assist for ITSM. All right, let's flip. I think we can flip back. There we go. Awesome.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that, Theo. So I think at this time, we're going to open up our last polling question, and you can see that on the screen now. Right, like we've talked about some great examples. We've gotten to see that demo of how ServiceNow integrates, and so we'd like to understand like where you are. Right, are you ready to leverage AI ServiceNow and create operational efficiencies? And would you like to set up a meeting? We'd be happy. Right, we've got some great experts on the phone here today. We'd be happy to set up a meeting and talk through, you know, those use cases and those value propositions that Christine mentioned in our commentary. So I'm going to leave this open. You guys can take a few minutes to answer that. And as we do, we're going to see what else has come in and take a look at maybe a few more questions. Let me see here. So next question is like, what security or compliance concerns do you have with embedding AI into ITSM, especially in terms of data privacy and governance? And obviously data privacy is a huge and governance is a huge topic and questions that all organizations have. So maybe we can take just a few minutes and answer that question for our audience. I don't know, Christine or Samir.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say AI security and the implications on data privacy is a top of mind concern and consideration for a lot of organizations today. Particularly in this arena, you probably have a lot of PII and information that needs to be kept secured. So there's a lot of questions to answer around what type of AI is operating on this data. Have I sufficiently sanitized it? In some sense, it's not all that different than compliance with regulations like GDPR or CCPA, but really understanding what models and what AI is operating on your data and how that data is being used, I would say, are the top considerations when you start to think about incorporating AI into that environment.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to do one more as I'm looking through this. Do you see value in using AI for predictive analytics in ITSM, for example, forecasting system failures or detecting patterns in service requests?
I would say there's welcome other perspectives as well, but I would say there's great value if that data is captured and if your service desk is potentially a window to some of those failure points in your organization. So the service desk has a unique ability to see when problems manifest at large scale and really cause dramatic impact. And when you're able to use AI, ML on all of that servicing data at scale, you can get really interesting, insights and visibility into some key problems potentially earlier, than each individual group or function, identifying those problems independently.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think the real benefit there is in that keyword of predictive analytics, right? So we talked early on about trying to move out of being reactive and being able to be proactive. So it starts with, capturing the right metrics. You have a lot of monitoring tools. You have a lot of incident data that gets captured, having that come in a consistent format, being stored in the right data model, and then AI can really augment or serve as that correlation engine to transpose that data, understand how it affects underlying applications or systems. And, if you've tuned the sensors right, whether that be things like CPU usage, storage, memory usage, and are noticing trends or letting AI notice those trends going in the wrong direction, you can really move the meter to then proactively prevent system disruption or service degradation.
Great, thank you guys so much. I want to thank all of our participants for hanging in there as we had a slight little technical problem in our demo. Thanks for sticking with us. Thank you to Christine, Samir, and Theo for providing your insights and feedback on this very interesting topic and use case around AI. And I invite all of you again to look at the resources on your console or take a picture of that QR code and go take a look at the information about the services that Protiviti can provide you around AI and ITSM. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you can join us on another webinar and have a wonderful day.